Okay, so I just established that Volgin is not inside the fortress, so he must be in one of the huts, one of the buildings outside. And as you can see, I've triggered an alert phase as well.
Analysis complete. Analysis complete.
Oh, is that it? I think I found it. Yeah, that looks like Volgin. Although it's kind of difficult to tell with the night vision goggles. I gotta say, Quiet is really handy as well as a buddy, once you've upgraded her with the trank gun of trank rifle, of course. It seems as if it's pretty tricky for her to aim at all of these guys though, since it's of course a closed environment. But she seems to be doing most of the work. Those fucking grenades. Okay, so now I know exactly where the body is. I'm just gonna get it straight. Oh wait, cutscene, eh? I was expecting to just fault on him like everyone else, but nope. I think he's going to regain consciousness. Thought so. Volgin in the Fox engine. I'm so glad we got to see him in the Fox engine. Was that just a hallucination? No. This is actually happening. What? What was that about? I guess he wasn't quite dead. Now he is. Oh, that might have been a hallucination, I don't know. I think it's awesome we did get to see Volgin just as he was before. Just even if it was just for a second, that was cool.
I barely recognize you, Colonel. Skullface used your thirst for revenge against Big Boss, did he?
So they know he's dead for certain.
We've received some new job offers. The details are on your iDroid.
More cassette tapes. Jesus.
Development project has been added. Side ops list updated. Mission list updated.
Okay, so we've got 5 new main ops. Oh wait, it's the cassette tapes, almost forgot. Is he going to talk about what just happened?
Volgin, the GRU colonel, was burned alive with the Shagohod during Operation Snake Eater 20 years ago. Despite suffering severe burns to his entire body, he still clung to life. After you left Seleniarsk, Volgin's body was taken to a research institute in the outskirts of Moscow, but modern medicine couldn't explain why he was still alive. Not that the colonel was any ordinary man to begin with. That constant electric current he had running through his body that he could unleash at will, to be honest, I was always uncomfortable around him. Thought I might get electrocuted just by standing nearby. The institute studying him was tasked with investigating and developing human paranormal abilities. The comatose Volgin was used to further the Soviet Union's research into such abilities. But not long ago, the facility burned to the ground, and Volgin's body was never found among the rubble, even though the fire started in the room where they were keeping him. This occurred at around the same time you woke up. If Skullface was right, and a thirst for revenge can turn a man into a demon and keep the dead alive, then this man on fire who's been coming after us ever since you woke up, well, that just might be what's left of our old friend Volgin. It's not over yet. Back in '64, in Seleniarsk, you brought his plans for a utopia down in flames. That grudge is what's keeping him alive. The day the research facility holding Volgin burned down, a Soviet jumbo passenger jet happened to crash nearby, far away to the north of that hospital in Cyprus. On board the plane was a young boy who was being studied at the same facility. The plane fell to Earth from over 8,000 feet, but the boy's body was the only one not recovered. At almost exactly the same time as the crash, Volgin awoke in that facility. According to the Research Institute's documents, the gifts this boy demonstrated included psychokinesis and telepathy. To protect his mind from being inundated with other people's thoughts, he always wore a kind of gas mask. A rudimentary form of psychic insulation, apparently. We don't know where this boy is, but if Skullface is connected to him, we may cross paths with him yet. This boy is part of a new age where nothing we understand about the world makes sense anymore. Don't let your guard down.
Okay, so that just confirmed for sure that Mantis definitely revived Volgin and was controlling him. Okay. Oops. Oh, yeah.
So what were they doing at Enzoya Badia, Baloo? That facility with all the people laid out in rows?
The abandoned factory Shabani was held in.
It is precisely as you guessed. Black Anna was coding languages into the vocal cord parasites. They infected the subjects with the parasites, then made an incision in the throat to expose the vocal cords. That allowed them to play recordings of a desired language directly to the parasites.
And the parasites learn the languages that way. That's some teaching method. I just don't get how a bunch of bugs had the brain power for it.
They don't. Do not judge them by human standards. They do not learn as a function of intellect.
Then how do they do it?
What language the parasites react to is coded into their genes. You could expose the Japanese strain to English for years, and it would never learn the language and react to it. The pronunciation, rhythm, and structure are different. But what about, say, Spanish and Portuguese? Linguistically, the two are very close.
Yeah, they're both Ibero-Romance languages.
Even so, a Spanish language mating pair exposed to Portuguese will not copulate. Only when they hear Spanish. Only then. And the majority of their offspring will be the same.
So it's a literal case of a mother tongue.
But if that's so, I don't see how the different strains can be created in the first place.
Well, among the many thousands of offspring, there may be just a few that react to Portuguese.
You're talking about mutations.
Correct. Playing the tapes helps to identify the mutant strains. Those specimens are then isolated and bred with one another. From their children, specimens that react more strongly to Portuguese can again be selected and bred. Repeating this process creates a strain that reacts solely to Portuguese and never to Spanish. Mutation and selection. No different to breeding roses.
So you kept increasing the change over the generations, adapting them to languages from all over the world. Must have taken a hell of a lot of patience.
More like patience. Just how many died for this?
There's something I still don't get. In order to tell which larvae will react to Portuguese, you'd have to let them develop and then see which copulate. That means you'd need tens of thousands of guinea pigs. There's no way you could do that in a facility that small.
For normal selective breeding methods, you would be right. But there is a more effective selection method when training the vocal cord parasites.
Go on.
It is not only when mating that the parasites listen for language. Shortly before hatching, larvae display markedly increased activity in reaction to particular language. The active eggs can be identified under a black light, so the eggs that react to Portuguese are selectively placed in the throats of subjects. So you see, narrowing down strains that react to the target language is an effective process. Though I'm sure that even so, many lost their lives to create the various strains.
Taken against their will into that dungeon.
There are two reasons for playing the tapes for the parasites. One, to isolate the eggs that respond to the target language. And two, to cause the specimens raised from the selected eggs to mate.
I get how the system works. But why do they respond to language before they even hatch? It's not like they can mate from inside an egg.
It is because the larvae learn the language before hatching.
You mentioned that what language the parasites respond to is hard-coded into their genes, and that they don't have the brain power to actually learn a language. But then you say that the larvae at Nzoia Badia Bulu were learning the languages in the egg. Your story doesn't add up.
Your country is home to a unique songbird. The Japanese bush warbler.
Sure, what of it?
What a beautiful call it has. But no bush warbler can sing it perfectly at the start. As chicks, they can barely chirp at all. They must learn from their parents and other adult birds. Only then can they sing properly and attract females. So naturally, there are individual differences in each bird's call. Though they start on the same footing, each bird is influenced by its teachers.
And the parasites are the same?
Like the birds, the parasites have a genetic predisposition towards a particular language. But while in the egg, the larvae's ears are tweaked by listening to the voice of the host. This tweaking ensures that the grown parasites will react better to the host's speech pattern.
Why would they have an ability like that?
Well, there are distinct regional differences within even the same language. Rare is the language that has no unique dialects. Yes, learning the host's speech pattern before hatching attunes the larvae to whatever twist of pronunciation it will encounter. This adaptive ability is what makes them so formidable.
I see. So a language requires selective breeding, but the parasites can learn dialects by themselves.
Of course, having the egg-stage larvae listen to the tapes in the factory was not meant to teach them. It was more important to use that trait of theirs to identify the mutated strains. As I mentioned earlier.
Is that really accurate enough to use as a weapon? You could wipe out a neighboring ethnic group by accident if their pronunciation is too close.
What you say is true. In that sense, they are imperfect as ethnic cleansers. But For his purposes, they are good enough. His objective was not to exterminate any one ethnic group, but to render the world's lingua franca, English, inert.
There's something I've been wondering. Why are you called Code Talker? During World War II, the U.S. military used the languages of different tribes, including the Navajo, as codes, right? I know the term Code Talker was used to mean people sent to the battlefield to speak in those codes. Were you one of them?
Our mother tongue was indeed used for war, but I did not go. I was already over the conscription age. However, I was made to help craft the codes that were spoken. So in a wider sense, you could call me a code talker for that. Navajo is a complex language, and virtually no one outside the US speaks it. They must have thought it was the perfect language to use as a code.
Yeah, in the end, the Japanese never cracked it. The cipher is king in information warfare.
Of course, they didn't simply speak in Navajo. They created substitutions for words according to a code book, and then translated those into our language. Young Diné was sent to the front lines of the Pacific Theater as code talkers. To fight is an honor for the Diné. They were the pride of our people. But I cannot say this history brings me joy. Words are alive. When they are spoken, life is breathed into them. They become a part of the listener. Our words were transformed into lifeless ciphers and used for war. This, after the Black Ana spent generations suppressing the language.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I guess we shouldn't be calling you Code Talker, huh?
No, I do not mind. The reason Skullface called me Code Talker was because I also am responsible for coding language into the vocal cord parasites. I am the same as those young warriors, used for a cipher's sake. I must never forget that. The name, Code Talker, is a lesson carved into my being.
You said Skullface ordered you to weaponize the vocal cord parasites.
Development complete.
But you also said he wasn't the reason.
And he wasn't. I was seduced by the parasites. That is a fact.
How? You mean from your curiosity as a scientist?
That I cannot deny. But there is more to it. The story goes back to the 19th century, to my earliest memory. One day, a man from the government visited our Volgin, our home. I cried as he yanked me from my mother's arms and took me away to an Indian boarding school. From that day forward, I became George. This was the name my teacher gave me. I was forced to give up my Diné name, forbidden from speaking anything but English. If we dared utter a word of filthy Navajo, the teacher made us eat a bar of soap.
Yeah, that was the U.S. government's education policy for Native Americans.
To erase our words was like erasing our people. Their education was tantamount to ethnic cleansing. Over time, the overt persecution of our language stopped. But to this day, it continues to be eaten away by the lingua franca, that is English. Many of the Diné outside the reservations can speak nothing else. And it isn't just our language. Across the world, minority languages are being destroyed by dominant languages. Many are on the verge of extinction.
Enter the vocal cord parasites.
Yes, I began thinking that minority languages needed some sort of deterrent against dominant languages. In order that their peoples and cultures would survive. It was then that I came across literature at the Foundation claiming that man acquired language thanks to a type of parasite. one that distinguishes between languages as a precursor to reproduction. If I could just resurrect it, make it more pathogenic, I would have my deterrent against English. But I failed to hide that aim from Skullface. He noticed. Yes, I wanted to retaliate against the English language, though never did I intend to actually use it as he planned. You know how the story ends. I was forced to study how to make the parasites compatible with all the world's languages. All but English.
However, he in fact secretly isolated an English strain.
I will not be held prisoner by the man's phantom. The English strain must not be allowed to exist either.
I think we got one more.
A ruler's greatest wealth is not money or land. It is the number of individuals under his control. Subjects who work, consume, are there to be used as pawns in war. For a capitalist ruler, his people's power becomes his power. You are the same. With your diamond dogs, you spin it with your speeches. But what you're doing is bringing as much talent as you can into your little domain. Every person another feather in your cap. Yes. Since ancient times, every civilization's ruler has had the same idea. When people unite under one will,
I remember that
they
from the trailer.
become stronger than the sum of their parts. And the one will is the ruler's will. And what do rulers use to bring
Language.
people together? Language. In the Old Testament, it is written that only one language was spoken in Eden. A shared tongue that united all of humanity. Mankind eventually grew aware of its power and harnessed that strength to build a tower to the heavens. The mighty Tower of Babel. This angered God, who splintered the language of man, and the tower was never completed. Languages emerged, and the earth was divided as men.
The subtitles have suddenly...
Every age is the
I don't
same.
mind.
A ruler's first order of business,
Caution, rain
after conquering
approaching.
new land, is to force his tongue on its people. Ancient Rome, Napoleon, and now Zero. English is wreaking havoc around the world right now. The British Empire tilled the land with war as its hoe, then began planting the seed that is English. Eventually, American capitalism became the new instrument. To play its game of wealth, you only had to abide by one rule: English. By exploiting people's desires, English has become a leash that people gladly wear around their necks, it would seem.
Okay.
Please attention. Unit dispatch. Please attention. Please attention. Please attention. Please attention. Please attention. Please attention.
Okay, so the next mission I'm going to do is C2W's subsistence. Yeah, that's how you say it. So from what I can gather, this is basically going to be the exact same mission from before. I think this was like, well, mission 3, let's check. Yeah, mission 4. But on a higher difficulty, basically. Where are we going for this one again?
Accepted.
Yeah, it's got the exact same objective.
Mission accepted. Heading to Afghanistan.
Okay, so I'm going to play through this mission, and I think I'm going to edit this out. I mean, you've already seen me go through this mission. This is the exact same thing, just on a higher difficulty. So I'm probably just going to edit this out. If there's anything noteworthy going on here, I will leave her in, but I don't think so. I think this is going to be the exact same thing.
Extraction arrived. near
Okay, so I just did the
base.
mission, and that was actually kind of tricky. Basically, it was the exact same mission, except I got an S rank for that. Okay, it was the exact same mission, except you started off with no weapons whatsoever. You can't call for backup. You can't call for supplies. You basically start naked, and you have to grab weapons on sight. And being as the mission is destroy 3 of those communication relays, you had to find rocket launchers and grenades throughout the environment to use on them. But it was a fun mission. It's pretty tricky, but it was fun as well. Okay, so after doing that mission, Miller asked me to come back to Mother Base, so I'm going to see what happens. Another cutscene, I guess. So this is going to be the format until the end, I think. You do a cutscene, they'll tell you to come back to Mother Base, and it'll just rinse and repeat.
Stay back. It's too dangerous. Hey. Back up, kid. I said no. You have to stay back.
Some things can't be helped. Back to your quarters. What's going on?
Shabani. Mayaka 9 Kingoya. Shabani.
It's down there. Hey, the tank at the bottom is filled with chlorine disinfectant. One whiff and you'll suffocate. Don't even.
They must have some sort of drone they can send down there to pick her up. Some sort of robot. Oh, she doesn't need to breathe, does she?
You go down there, and it is over. Boss! Hey! Listen to me! There is no way to recover the body. What kind of stunt was that? Trying to panic us?
Oh, okay. I was thinking she would be okay. I guess I did mess her up a bit.
Look. Here.
boss. About that AI pod you retrieved from Emmerich's research facility. Guess what we found inside?
Welcome home.
A corpse. Human. The pod maintained a low internal temperature the whole time, and very little outside air got in. That would have slowed down decomposition. Still, the remains were mostly skeletal. Estimated time of death is between 6 months and a year ago. We put the screws to Huey about it. Listen to the tape.
Boss!
Turns out it was the body of someone we knew very well.
Who? Are they gonna say?
Boss! You need combat support. Just say the word.
Please select a landing.
He's not gonna tell me.
Roger.
Fine. Yes, Strangelove was doing AI research in that lab.
Why hide that until now?
Why? Okay, so what? I wasn't working alone. You've got to understand. You do understand, right? I didn't want to drag her into this. It's my load to bear, alone.
So you didn't create the AI intended to drive Sahelanthropus. It was Strangelove.
Skullface was never in favor of AI control.
What, it was her body
So
inside
naturally
that
they
AI pod?
argued. Strangelove, she got him angry, and he killed her.
How?
Strangelove is dead?
You didn't see it?
So naturally they
Hey,
argued.
just rewinding that. I got
Strangelove,
interrupted.
She got him angry, and he killed her.
How? You didn't see it? So you found her inside that pod after the fact. And you just left her body to rot in there. Or perhaps you put her in there.
I'm kind of surprised they killed her. Kind of
I asked
off
him
screen.
not to take her away from me.
So she was killed by Skullface, but you asked nicely, and he put her body in the AI pod for you.
That's right.
Pathetic. You know, we have another idea. That you killed her.
Me? I couldn't kill her.
You killed her and locked her body in the pod.
I wouldn't. Don't treat me like one of you. I can't just kill anyone whenever I feel like it. I'm a normal human being.
Oh, I see. So you just shut her inside and waited for her to die.
I would never do that.
What, you mean she killed herself?
Yes. She climbed inside that pod and shut the door. It can't be opened from the outside. It was suicide. Suicide, I said. She killed herself. She got in when I wasn't looking and suffocated. She'd often try to do things like that. By the time I realized and opened the door, she wasn't breathing. I got scared and shut the pod again. I couldn't bring myself to open it back up. That's right. Me? Kill her? What is wrong with you?
I see. Just tell me one more thing.
Haven't you gotten enough today?
Okay, I see it's a painful memory. You don't have to answer, just listen to the question. You see, we examined her remains. She had a scar on her lower abdomen, a surgical scar. It had been stitched up and had fully healed, meaning it was long before her death. She had a child, didn't she?
Autogon.
Your child. Where's the kid?
How should I know?
So there is a child.
I've never seen his face.
What do you take us for?
They took it all. Even my child. I didn't even know he'd been born. I lost everything.
How old would he be?
It's 4 years since then.
And you know it's a boy.
Strangelove said so.
And his name?
We called him Hal, even though I never saw his face.
And you would never know this unless you listen to the tape. Because I can imagine a lot of people are going through this game without ever listening to any of these tapes. That seems like a pretty big piece of, pretty big piece of information. So I'm kind of surprised that's only left in the tape.
Please specify project. Please select mission. View dispatch. Please select mission.
Okay, Cursed Legacy looks like a unique mission, so I think I'll go for this one. Recover the 2 containers loaded with Code Talker's materials. Okay.
Mission accepted. Heading to Central Africa.
Oh yeah, of course, she got injured, right? So that makes sense. I don't have a vehicle.
Deploying.
It sounds like this mission is going to be on a timer. The description mentions something about helicopters coming to pick up the containers. So I guess if I take too long, they'll take them away and it'll be a mission failed. Which is why I took the rocket launcher.
Boss, Code Talker's research has been stolen. The research materials have been packed into 2 containers and hidden in the jungle southwest of the mansion. Enemy extraction choppers will be there any minute. You have to find and retrieve those containers before they arrive. That area is being guarded by zero-risk security, and their client is XOF. If the choppers make off with the containers, that research will end up in Cypher's hands. One other thing, boss. We need a cargo-capable Fulton extraction device to recover the containers. Use your iDroid to order its development and have it dropped in.
Say again?
The map has been updated.
Oh yeah, I already have that, okay.
Be careful down there, boss.
I think I got too used to having quiet there to snipe everyone. As far as AI partners go, she is actually pretty helpful, so gonna have to get used to not having her again. Until she heals, that is. Is this a dead end? How do I get around? The pathway. Okay. Okay, so they said southwest of the mansion.
Boss, looks like they're stepping up security around the target. Watch yourself.
Caution. Rain approaching.
So somewhere around here. It's a fake.
Analysis complete.
Almost fell. I'm so glad I did this during the night time. Ooh, hello. There's one of them. I think they said there's 2 of them altogether.
Visibility in the jungle isn't great. Watch out. You could run into the enemy at any time.
Yeah.
Feel the roots.
Is that Code Talker?
Enemy
Come
presence
one
detected.
with
The
the
map
forest.
has been
The
updated.
forest
What is
is
that?
aware of the enemy's noise. You must be too.
Our early warning radar still hasn't picked up the enemy choppers.
Analysis.
Oh, he's in that battle gear.
It's only a
Okay.
matter of time before
Gonna
they
have to
arrive.
sneak up on this guy.
I've updated the
Cool.
info on your iDroid. Take a look.
All the way up there.
Soldiers have no idea what's in those containers.
Uh-oh.
Strictly a need-to-know basis.
Don't call her in. He's gonna call her in.
You're gonna extract him.
That was a close one. That was close.
Analysis complete.
Target extraction confirmed. That leaves one target to go.
Extraction
Take care of the next one.
technical device.
Boss, our early warning radar just picked up.
I've got
the
plenty of
enemy
time.
choppers.
That's fine.
We'll keep you informed.
They've been generous with that time limit.
Hurry up and extract the target.
Well, the Metal Gear Solid games are always generous with the time limits.
The XOF choppers. If we attack XOF now, it'll be a declaration of war against Cypher itself. That time will come, but it's not now.
Analysis complete.
Really don't want this guy spotting me. Oh, he's coming to. Okay. It's quite low of him.
An enemy presence detected. The map has been updated.
Gonna call that in. This is my idea. This is how I'm gonna escape. Quick, he's moving. I gotta stay on top. Stay on top. Stay on top.
Alright. Target extraction confirmed.
You saw that, right?
Snake, talk to me! Snake!
I swear I read somewhere that if you stay on top of the crates when you fought on them, they bring you back to Mother Base along with them. Or maybe not, I don't know.
Exfiltrate
Enemy
the area.
presence detected.
Go ahead and call
The
the
map
chopper.
has been
You can
updated.
also exfiltrate the mission area by land.
That was bullshit.
Rise momentarily. The map has been updated.
And it seems as if I triggered a checkpoint
Enemy presence
after I
detected.
fought on that, so at least I don't have to do it all over again. Okay. So it's not all bad. I'm still kind of pissed off, but at least there was a checkpoint. It's the best way to get down. Will that fall kill me? I jump there?
Exfiltrated presence.
That's sweet. That's pretty easy.
No enemy forces in pursuit. Mission complete. Amazing. Mission complete.
I wouldn't say no to that ass rank. I think I deserve that. I think I handled it quite well.
Boss, we got code talk.
Despite slipping off the
materials
container.
back in one piece. The medical team has them under lock and key in the quarantine facility. The materials should help their research into the vocal cord parasites. Cypher won't be getting their hands on them now.
More hamburgers?
Code Talker examined everyone here, and one of us is infected. It's quiet. It was was our cutting-edge MRI that finally revealed it. But we don't know what language strain it is. Get back to base. Time for her to talk. You know the room number. 101.